Oh, that's very good. That's very good. I think Claudia's winning this one, guys. Hate to say it.
It's no fair. None of us are as young as Claudia.
All right, well, our panel is here. This panel is called Running the Show, and I am really, really looking forward to this. Our moderator will be the inimitable Michelle Yu. You may recognize her from Fox Sports, Santa Anita, and numerous other things. Most of the time, you'll hear her before you see her.
Lucky.
Yeah, very lucky. Next in line, we have Claudia Spadaro, Hipica TV, beautiful on the end there. And then, of course, we have our fantastic first woman to call a Grade 1 race, Jessica Paquette, who's doing great work at Parx. Ann Hall, we might recognize her from the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. She is the Senior Vice President of Operations and Administration. And then to my right, my boss, Amy Zimmerman, the Senior Vice President of Santa Anita. She is also the Executive Producer for Santa Anita as well as NBC. This is quite a lineup. I hope you enjoy. You have 60 minutes from now plus a 15-minute Q&A. Take it away, Michelle.
Thank you, Zoe. And now, thanks to all your talking, I only have 58 minutes and 43 seconds. But I listened to Charlesy, who said, take everything you want to say and cut it in half. So we're actually going to do this whole thing in 36 minutes. Good? Everyone good? So first of all, I do want to tell you guys that I want to run the panel a little differently. I know it's usually hold your questions till the end, but I feel like sometimes you don't get to join in the discussion at that point. So if there's something going on that you have an immediate question, please feel free to ask during the panel, and we can get a nice open discussion going. The title of our panel is Running the Show. We are supposed to cover facets of management, how we got to our part in the show, and then reshaping assumptions of who fills those roles. Whether we stick to this or not, I'm not entirely sure, but that's what we're going to give it a whirl for. Before we kick off talking to our panel, I do have a question for the audience. I think when we're talking about the show and what we've been talking about all day here is women and how we are moving forward or how we are where we are. I want to know who in the audience here was a trailblazer in their field, in their career, in their industry. Anybody start to something that you had no one to look up to? A couple people? And what anybody else then, everyone else I guess, would be someone that had someone to look up to, right? So like for me, when I was a little girl, my path here started with a book called Ruffian, Burning from the Start, a newspaper and some degenerate gamblers in a bar. I knew what I wanted to do because I saw Charles E. Canny doing it. And then when I got towards TV, I had Jill Byrne to show me the way. And then I had Christina Blacker to show, at the time she was Oliveris, but you know what I mean. When I needed to take that next step, I had Amy Zimmerman here. So for me, I wasn't a trailblazer. There were a gazillion women, like the guys on the runway with the big signs, go this way. I had that. But there are people that have that, and there are people that don't, including some people on our panel up here that were able to forge their own path. So I think that's just super exciting to see how we can kind of all come from different backgrounds and different ideas and make our way to where we are. Looking at the ladies now, enough about me. Our resumes are strong with this bunch. AZ, can I start with you? And you can start off our panel with just telling everybody how you got here and what you do. Because the show is not just the races, right? There's a lot that goes on behind it.
I started here at Santa Anita in August of '86. It was a 7-week gig. So 37 years later, it's been the longest temp job in the history of the world. It's God's honest truth. I was supposed to work for Breeders' Cup, just doing the Breeders' Cup bio guide. And then I did that. And then Jane Goldstein, who's the one who hired me, said, well, why don't you stay for the winter-spring meet? So I stayed for the winter-spring meet. And then I went to Hollywood, and then I came back. And then it was like, well, why don't you stay for the winter-spring meet? So I did that and kept leapfrogging until '91, and then I've been here since then.
And what do you do? What does a senior vice president do?
Oh my God.
What don't you do?
It's my day every day is I come to work wearing an asbestos suit. I mean, I'll put out whatever fire needs to be put out at that moment. Really, it's helping the people that I'm lucky enough to work with, from, you know, Aiden Butler and Nate Newby and Greg Colvin, to it's making sure that the horsemen are okay, that the jockeys are okay, that the fans are having a good time. It's making sure that you, Michelle, and Zoe, and Millie all have what you need in front of the camera and behind the camera. And to that point, Jesse, I'm so happy that you're going to be joining our team. Jessica Pfeiffer is joining our team full-time officially come this autumn. We're super happy to have you, so I'm going to embarrass the hell out of you. And Pete Lurie and Jeff Siegel, I don't want to forget them either, because they do a great job.
But they're not here.
But they're not here. So it's, really that's what it involves. I don't know what my day looks like every day when I show up.
I mean, that's fun and refreshing too, right? A little bit?
I love that. I mean, but it was funny. I had a big debate with some of the folks in this room. The attire said smart casual. I said, well, it's the day before opening, so I'm in jeans. So that's just where it is.
Anne, how about you?
I need a cushion.
Oh, here.
I'm
Well, I
not,
have a cushion
I'm
here.
not
Take
big
this off.
enough
Oh, wait.
for this
You might not
chair.
want this cushion. This cushion looks like it's made of the wrapping that goes around the
I'm
boxes.
good. I'm like, I need longer legs.
Same.
Same,
We can
yeah.
just sit on the floor. Do you want to sit crisscross applesauce?
Yeah,
I'm game for
actually
that.
I do. So when you have this opportunity to come and surround yourself with women, like all of you, it does cause you to reflect back on how you got there and truly, what do I do, right? Because I started very similar to Amy back in 1994 at Del Mar in a temporal and in the accounting department. Guess how much I knew about accounting? Not very much. And then I just kept, new responsibilities would come up, I'd take them on, and that really has been my journey. New positions become available, new things need to be doing. We talk about managing your life balance, not the best at that, right? So something needs doing, and Anne will do it, take it on. And that's what my journey has been at Del Mar, surrounded by a terrific team of men and women who have supported me all these years. And like Amy, I have no idea what my day is going to look like. I know I'm not going to be announcing a race.
You can.
Maybe.
I know I'm not going to be on TV.
Maybe.
I know I'm going to start my day walking the plant, making sure it looks clean, making sure the gates are ready to go. Many days I don't even, obviously I know horse racing is happening, but I have no, I'm the front end of the property, right? And so that's kind of interesting when I hear about all of you speak, that's where my difference lies, is that I tend to be kind of front end of the property on that operation side.
How has learning about horse racing been for you then over these years? I mean, obviously you came to work in accounting as not a racing person.
Right, I was that go to the infield person with my little cooler and my beach chair and my $2 bet once a summer. That was me at Del Mar growing up in San Diego. And obviously, when you start in the accounting side, you learn about, the split of the wagering dollar and where all that money goes. I remember when I started in accounting, we had an older woman who worked there who was absolutely fabulous, and she explained to me what commingled wagering was. Well, she was not right at all. But back in that day, we commingled with 11 sites. So if you think about wagering now and all where the money comes into every pool, it's just changed so incredibly dramatically. And so so I learned the accounting side, and then of course with the ops side, during COVID, I spent, as you know, a lot more time on the horse side of it because our roles changed pretty dramatically without having patrons on the property. And that was awesome for me, to be able to get out there and learn a lot more, talking to owners, talking to trainers, talking to you, Michelle, and Christina, and Brittany. It's been fantastic.
Thank you, Anne. Jess?
I said yes to a lot of things and somehow wound up in an announcer's booth. But I actually started my announcing career not thinking I was going to ever call a race that day. It was in 2014, a tornado came through Revere where Suffolk Downs was, and I was working as the paddock host. And I was the only person there who I think they could trust to not curse on a microphone when our announcer was stuck in traffic. So I called the first race, and I thought at that point it was a one-off, really fun thing, and never thought about it really again. And then some opportunities came up, and I just kept saying, yes, why not me? And in November of last year, Parx took a chance with someone who had called maybe 50 quarter horse races, and 250 yards is a little different than 2 turns, and supported me as I grew into the role. So I just came from a place of yes and flew real close to the sun.
Oh, Anne, ask and ye shall receive.
That's amazing.
I need a footstool.
Oh
Let's
my
see if
gosh.
knowing that a lot of little boys, right, that want to be track announcers, watch Trevor Denman and Tom Durkin and all these guys, and they're like, this is what I want to be. Since you didn't do that, what was that like trying to find your voice?
So that was interesting. I watched Charles C. Canty and wanted to be a reporter, and you want to be what you can see. So many of my peers did grow up thinking they were going to be the next Tom Durkin or the next Dave Johnson or whomever, and they emulated them. I struggled early on at Parx, I mean, in a couple of ways, but trying to find my voice because I wasn't going to sound like any of them, no matter what I did. And I had to really get comfortable with who I am and what I'm going to bring as an announcer. But I think representation is so important in this sport in a lot of ways to show a younger generation that they can have any seat at the table that they want.
Do you feel like, I'll back that up. Have you had little girls come up to you now and be like, I want to call a race?
A friend of mine sent me.
Besides Claudia.
But again, Claudia, anytime.
Claudia was fangirling hard, you guys. It was awesome.
My booth is always open. Actually, a friend of mine, her little daughter, she sent me a video of her yelling while the horses were turning left. And when I tell you, it just melted my heart. But that's why I'm doing this. All of us got where we got because other women paved the way for us in various other areas.
Do you feel like it's different for you too because you did start in front of the camera? I feel like a lot of our announcers don't necessarily come from that background, right? They've always wanted to be in the booth behind the curtain. And because you started in front, to be able to step out and kind of advocate in a different way?
I think it's a nice opportunity to maybe change the role of the announcer in some ways because I can do a little bit more than some of the older school announcers that show up right before the first race, call the races, and leave, whereas my background on camera does, I mean, I think that helps certainly, or was appealing to Parx when they hired me, knowing you could get a little bang for your buck.
Claudia, how about you? How did you get started here?
Well, I'm from Venezuela, so when I moved here, I started doing in my university my work, like my homework. I always went to the horse track to Gulfstream in Miami.
She was doing math.
I was doing broadcast and journalism, and I remember one professor told me that, Claudia, you're not gonna find a job because all your portfolio is horses and horses and horses. And I was like, but that's what I like, that's what makes me happy. So when I graduate, they did the El Clásico del Caribe. Is one of the most important races in Latin America. They did it in Miami. So they needed one person who could speak Spanish and also know about the horses. So I said, this is my chance. So I got an internship on Gulfstream. It was only about, it's gonna be 3 months from September to December, 3-4 months, and that's it. But when we did the Clásico del Caribe, we started, I remember I started my Twitter account with 1 follower, it was my dad, maybe 2, my dad and my mom. And then in 3 months, it became this craziness about like followers and people telling me that I love what you do. And I was like, wow. And I was doing it completely for free. It was fun. For me, it was like, okay, I need to do my internship, and that's it. At the end, I was like, okay, I think there is a target audience that nobody's listening to. So, as you said, I saw so many women that were my inspiration in English, but there were no women in Spanish could be on TV and talking about horses. I think that the Hispanic audience is a little bit more machista in kind of way, so it was a little bit hard, but we did it, and we started this project, Hipica TV, which is the channel that I work, thanks to First Racing, who believed in this idea, and right now we are the biggest channel in horse racing Spanish in the world. So I'm really proud of my baby, and I heard before, don't take no for an answer, and that's always what I said to myself. Like, if I would have listened to other people that said there is no way, that they're gonna pay attention like to you or to just a little girl that had an idea or that the Spanish speaker are really. And I did, and I just said, you know what? I'm gonna believe in what I can do, and I really love my job, and I put my heart on everything that I do, and I didn't listen to them. And if I would have listened, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. So I believe in myself, and it happened.
Do you find that you had more pushback from the Latin American contingent or from the Americans here about having the Spanish language horse racing channel?
Well, it half and half, because for the English side, it was basically the accent. It was like, she doesn't sound like me. But with the Spanish and the way that Latin America and Latin men are built, it's like, what can she tell me that I already don't know? You know what I mean? Like, I know more
We saw that on a slide earlier.
So it was a little bit of both, but again, as I said, I started my Twitter account with 2 followers, mom and dad, and right now I'm always getting to the 100,000 followers, and I just didn't pay attention to the bad comments or to the haters. I focused on the good ones. So for each hater, I got 10 people that were telling me, oh my God, what you're doing is amazing. So I focus on those. And that's why I think that you don't, with time, and you start believing in yourself, and you just stop paying attention to nonsense.
Mentally, it's definitely hard, I feel like, to hear criticisms on yourself, and it happens in every workplace. But for Jess and Claudia especially, the criticisms are out there for everybody to digest. The angry people in their underwear typing. What do you do to counteract that? I mean, Claudia says ignore it. I'm not big enough. Yes, exactly. Live in mom's basement, if they're lucky.
If they're lucky. I'm also not big enough to ignore them, and I think that's a really human response. And we have pretty significant platforms, and I think it's important to kind of show the younger generation looking up to us that it's okay to be hurt by terrible things being said about you by other people, even knowing that they are coming from someone's basement. It's still, it feeds into those negative self-thoughts that you inevitably do have as you're doing something hard or new. But also, it's for me, I've chosen, and really deliberately, and it's not my first impulse, is to choose grace and to not strike back. But when someone says something awful about you, you want to defend yourself, or if they say something terrible about your friend, you want to defend them. But choosing grace and taking the high road is ultimately the most satisfying. It may not be in the moment the most satisfying, but let karma take care of everything.
Do you guys feel
but
like
keep the receipts?
Do you guys feel like your jobs would have been different 10 years ago before social media was around?
So I do, and I've talked to a couple of announcers that have been really supportive and mentors to me in this. And one of them, T.D. Thornton at Suffolk Downs, who will always be my favorite and my all-time favorite announcer, he said that when he was starting out, he struggled and went through all of the new announcer things that we all do, but he would just leave the track and there'd be 4 or 5 people being like, hey kid, you're terrible. And then he'd go home and that would be done. Whereas in the age of social media, we really don't have the luxury of being off of it.
Amy and Ann, I know you guys are not getting Twitter hate, I'm sure, if something gets run bad. But how do you handle it in the workplace, or I know, Ann, you come from a much different environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want Amy to?
Either way, you both can answer simultaneously.
Yeah, so I certainly get my fair share of hate, and COVID seems to be something that's on my mind constantly because it was such a turning point for us at Del Mar. I think prior to that, I just was like, I just would kind of blow through it. I just kind of didn't give it any credence. Maybe I just was naive and didn't have an awareness of the criticisms I received. But when I stepped into the roles I stepped in during COVID, I was much more in the public eye. And when I say the public, I mean owners and trainers out in the track. I became a much more visible figure. And to some people, they recognized that there were a few people at Del Mar that made it so that we could actually have racing during COVID. We worked extraordinarily hard to do that. But there's a few very well-known people in the racing industry who could find nothing but fault with how we handled it. And it wears on you. It absolutely wears on you. And it's, for me, you know, it's 10 people and it's 10 comments. I cannot imagine this.
But then you also have to continue to do your job with these people, knowing some of the things that they have said about you, and that
Doesn't seem to bother them.
It doesn't bother them at all. But but we kind of
But
have to
you're right.
continue to rise above.
Yes.
And I mean, I have to speak about some people who have said horrible, hateful things about me, and maintain kind of a professional objectivity about it.
You're 100% right. You have to continue to interact with those people every single day and put forth hours and hours of your time and effort and love and labor to have them beat you down.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you guys feel like we're kinder to people that have said mean things or treated us badly because we're women? And like we're kind of conditioned to be like, oh, okay.
No.
No.
I remember, one of the perks of being an announcer is now I have a great memory. So I remember, and I will remember.
And it's your job, right? My job is to prepare this racetrack on a daily basis for you to come and be successful here. So, yeah, but I don't know that if it's because I'm a woman. I think that we all have to kind of rise above some of that to be in the service industry.
I do think we are conditioned to a certain extent to kind of project a toughness and a stoicism to be in a male-dominated industry, where we come in kind of with the toughness of a stereotypical man, where I think, especially as I get a little bit older, leaning into femininity and the fact that I do have feelings. I'm a crier. It's fine. I cry when I'm happy, angry, sad, anytime. And those things are not necessarily a sign of weakness at all.
I cry when the Vouv is empty. AC had to interrupt you.
No, it's tough to be a female manager, I think, anywhere. And I don't think this sport is too much or too little of that. I used to have a thing on the back of my door that said, you know, males managers are tough, women are bitchy. And I literally once had a boss that came in here at Santa Anita and said, you know, so Amy, the reputation on you is that you're a bitch. And I looked at him and I said, all right, so my response to that should be what? Should I be flattered or should I be insulted? What are you telling me? He's like, oh, no, you should be flattered. You're a great manager. You're great at what you do. Like, okay, then you maybe want to find a different word to describe the job I'm doing. Because you and I had this discussion the other day, Michelle. You said you embrace the term bitch. And I said, that's fine, you can embrace it, but I bet every single person in this room, if you get called that at one point or another, whether or not you believe you did a good job or a bad job, it's still gonna hurt.
If that's all I get called on a
But it's
typical
not gonna
Tuesday,
show you-
I will be thrilled.
I get that, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that, and I think you and Claudia are in a little different position than Ann and I, in the fact that you are out in front. Michelle, Zoe, Jess, Millie, they're all in the same boat, in the same routine. There is not a word for a male that equates to the word bitch. It's not in the English language. If somebody knows it, please let me know. It's just not quite there. And it's used to cut, it's used to knock people off, to take them down a step. It's just there. No, I'm not a bitch. You did a bad job. And I think that's, the underlying thing that we both, that we all need to just kind of understand. And the answer was, was I a bitch because I was a tough manager? Okay, tell me I'm a tough manager. Tell me I'm a good manager. Tell me I'm a bad manager. Tell me something else. Please don't tell me I'm a bitch.
I know what I'm not putting on your coffee cup this year.
Oh my God, that was from you?
I think everyone up here.
Fired the wrong person.
I think that everyone up here has kind of gotten where they are by being yes people. Like you said, we've taken risks and we've done things and we've worked for free and we've continued on internships and we've tried new jobs. Is there anything that you guys can think of in your track to get here that almost deterred you?
It was really hard at the beginning. It was really hard to put yourself, because I have been 5 years in front of a camera. So that's why it gets easier to focus on the good and just acknowledge that the people that are saying bad things are just, they would never come up to your face and said it. It's just, but you have to get there. It's not easy. So, and this is not just in this industry, in any industry. At the beginning, you are gonna face so much criticism. And there, and that moment, you have to believe in yourself. You have to acknowledge that you're worth it, that what you're doing is making a difference, and that you're doing that the best that you can, and you're preparing yourself. So all the noise outside is not gonna bother you, because you're gonna be focused on what really matters, and is what you are doing. And I know it's really easy just to say that. I'm telling you, it has been 5 years to get here, and said, I just post and go for it and say yes, and yes, and now I'm trying to do the crossover to the English side, and I mean, I'm getting new people that are wonderful. Also, I'm getting new haters, but at this point, I just don't care, because I know that I'm doing the best that I can I'm prepared. I try to study and be better each day. So whatever they have to say is their opinion. I didn't ask for it. So that's it.
I am either too stubborn or too stupid to have ever thought about going backwards. The jury's still out on which one it is, but for me it's always, just keep going forward, and you try to leave the sport a little bit better than it was when you got there. And I feel like this is a tremendous honor and an opportunity to get to do that. So, onward we go.
And for you, you didn't come from a background where there's a lot of negativity in your workspace, so that's obviously a very big positive. So it was a lot more supportive climbing up the ladder. But was there something that ever happened that you just thought, you know what, I'm happy where I'm at. I don't need to go anywhere else?
It is interesting that you say that, because I'm so fortunate where I am with the team at Del Mar, with the support that I've received from when I was, this accounting temp all the way till now, where I still continue to get that support from our board, from senior management, and from the entire staff. But there's times when it's hard. It's a hard job. The roles that we take on and the responsibilities that we take on, it's a lot. But I'm just, again, I think I fall into the stubborn part of it, and it's my thing, it's my jam. I love running the racetrack. I'm just gonna keep doing it.
Yes.
Hazy, I don't think anything scared you away from being where you are.
No, I was just too stupid.
Jessica, we have your answer now.
Stupid
I think I might be with you.
Fell right into the stupid category.
We heard earlier everyone speaking about work-life balance in some of our earlier panels and speakers. Where does racing fit in with you guys? I'm married to a trainer, so racing doesn't fit into my life. My life is racing. My kids are raised at the barn. My kids napped in buckets of wraps. On Christmas morning, we're at the racetrack. We got married on a Monday after 4 o'clock, okay? Like, racing is my life, but it's not for everybody. How does racing fit into your life, and how is your work-life balance with racing as your partner?
We were talking about this at dinner yesterday, me and my friends. I'm single in dating, and I was like, I tried to date outside of racing, but you can't.
It doesn't work.
They invited me to be a +1 in a wedding, and he wanted me to go the church to the ceremony, and I was like, but it's Belmont steak. Like, I can't. I'm sorry. And I tried. I really tried to make him understand that I couldn't. I had to see, that was Nest. I had to see Nest. So I said, and he didn't understood. And I was like, well, I mean, I'm gonna meet you at the party, but don't count to me for the ceremony. And I didn't win. I stayed in my house. I watched the Belmont with my dad. Nest came second, but it's fine. I was happy. I enjoyed. And after that, I went to the wedding. So, I mean,
So for Claudia, we see the balance. It's
racing. Racing 1, dating 0.
But if anyone knows single guys that like racing, Claudia's in the market right now.
So for me, racing isn't just something I do. This has never just been a job for me. It's my entire sense of self is woven into my role in the industry and my love for the industry. And I think that's something most of us share here. That comes with a lot of great benefits. It also comes with the occasional existential crisis and some really hard looks about what you're doing in the industry. Are you making it better? Are you moving it forward? And things like that. But I don't think there's ever truly a work-life balance when you work in racing because
So when you're like last race, you're not like home and you're like,
never, and you're never not thinking about it kind of even outside of your racetrack and your role in it. I mean, it's the thing you want to talk to your friends about. It's the thing, or my friend, it's just the only language I know is to want to talk about racing. Also, Ruffian Burning from the Start was my favorite book when I was a
Favorite book
kid.
of all time, right?
Also one of the books that made me love racing as well. Again, we are
we like emo
women
music.
of a certain,
and,
we're
yeah.
women of a certain age here too. We're really dating ourselves, exactly.
Also love Ruffian. What a great book. Who in here has read Ruffian Burning from the Start?
This is homework. Go read it
Yeah,
if you
if you
haven't.
haven't.
It is a life-changing book. It's a love story to an amazing animal.
Also, if you guys don't maybe know as much about the ins and outs of racing, there's a glossary in the back that is excellent. It's literally how I learned everything about racing. Right?
Yes.
I didn't know what a furlong was, but it tells you in the back
I
of the
did
book.
after I read that book.
I forget where I'm at now, Anne.
What was the question?
I don't remember. Where does
balance.
racing
yes,
fit in your life?
I-
Work-life balance.
Right? Okay.
How far is a furlong?
Last year at this event, there was this fabulous woman, and I'm apologizing to you wherever you are. She's the marketing director, executive human at Keeneland.
Krista.
Yes. Oh my gosh, she was so fabulous. And she spoke about being a manager and leading a team and working 27 hours a day and how she was imparting that to her, and she needed to change, right? For herself, for her family, for the people that worked for her, to be an example. Yeah, I don't do that. I make sure my team goes home, but during the summer, I am all Del Mar, all day, every day. My family doesn't see me. And you know what? And it's okay. For me, it's not right. It's maybe not right for many people. But also you have to remember Del Mar is a short season. So there's 8 weeks in the summer that I'm at Del Mar. That's where I am.
What about the rest of the year? Because we think about Del Mar as this boutique meet, and then we don't think about it for half of the year, right? Except to count down the days to get there.
Yeah.
So what about the rest of the
Fortunately,
season?
we have a whole team that does continue to think about Del Mar and prepare for upcoming race meets and this little event next year called Breeders' Cup, which you all get to do this year. So we have this really great little dedicated team, and your life reverts to a lot more balance. You have weekends off, you have time with friends and family. So yeah, so it's during the summer and during the fall, our little fall meet. Yeah, I'm at the track much of my life, but the rest of the year there is that where you have some time.
Ames.
I've been here forever, so I don't, this is, it's several years ago, one of those NTRA questionnaires or whatever, it's to describe racing in 3 words. Mine is who I am.
Wow.
That's, it is what it is. My son is now 14 and almost 15. He's given me a little bit of balance because he plays baseball on the weekends. So, as many of you know, you will not see me here until sometimes 1 o'clock on a Saturday because I'll go in the morning. So there is, later on there is a little bit of balance, but not much.
How long did it take you to figure out that I have to have that? I have to be able to be there for Henry and these games and other things besides racing.
It's important. It's his life. It's important. But he also knows things, things that you don't realize that you impart on your kids. When I walk into the house, first thing he does is look at my shoes to see if they're clean or dirty. If they're clean, it was a good day. If they're dirty, it was less of a good day.
I have to say, Amy is my boss also, and I was a 100% worker. I don't leave or say no, and Amy has given me some of that family time back when she's like, I'm sorry, what, your brother's getting married and you need to go to the wedding. I'm like, but it's on a Saturday. And, the same, right? And Amy's like, that's probably just something you should do. So.
My uncle is, well, it's the third marriage, so it doesn't count. But
The uncle is the third marriage, or he's on the third marriage?
He chose to,
Don't ask him for
the
dating
girlfriend,
advice.
The girlfriend picked the November 4th. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, I'm sorry. And I was like, even my dad, he was like, I mean, why? Why do you have to choose the first week of November? Don't. Or the last Saturday of May. Don't. Like, just don't do it.
There is an executive who will remain nameless, and his wife was pregnant, and Breeders' Cup was out of town, and he told her, you need to schedule a C-section, or I might not be there for the wedding. She scheduled the C-section, by the way, okay? Or for the birth, not the wedding. What journey has everybody here seen racing take, whether it's in front of the camera or behind the camera? We know there has been an evolution of perception because of social media, but what other journeys have you guys seen racing take?
I mean, it's become. Thanks,
That's because
guys.
I don't direct questions. I'm just leaving it open for discussion.
No,
All right.
It's been really transformative in the time that I've been here. When I started here, Santa Anita's average daily attendance was 33,000. We raced 5 days a week. The full crop was 42,000. Now the full crop is 20,000. We race 3 days a week. Average daily attendance is about 6, and we high-five each other when we have 10. I mean, I remember the first day walking through this plant that we had under 10,000 people. I remember it vividly. It was, this is a huge facility. It's a beautiful facility. It's a glorious facility, but it needs to have people here to experience it. My role here, part of my role here has been part of enabling people to stay home and watch it. Having said that, I think it's a safer, grander, and equally as wonderful sport as it was when I walked in the door.
Do you feel like because we are just showing it more on TV and it's more accessible, you don't have to be there, that it's not as detrimental as it seems when you have less than 10,000 people on track?
Well, I mean, that's what the attendance looks like. The handle is incrementally higher as well. So people are still enjoying the sport. They're just partaking in it in a very different way.
And I think, I think an important shift in the past 20 years or so has been the way we are constantly striving forward to protect our equine athletes and our human athletes as well. And it's important not to lose sight of the progress made in the pursuit of perfection as well. And those are conversations I welcome having with my friends who maybe don't know racing or come from the hunter-jumper land where the perception of racing is not always the most favorable. And I like to point to the progress that has been made and that we're continuing to strive every day with lots of moves forward to make the sport safer and better.
I was gonna say that, for example, I use my social medias. We have talked a lot about social media, and I think it's a double sword because it can be negative, but also you can use it such as a great tool to get to people that are not here. I try to use my social media and my stories and my reels to do like a storytelling, so people that cannot be here, they feel that they are in the first row of a derby or a Florida derby or a Santa Anita derby, and I think that makes a great difference. For example, I remember one kid, he came to Gulfstream. It was his birthday, and he was from Puerto Rico, so the parents traveled to Gulfstream, and the dad told me, I asked him, what does he want for his birthday? Go to Disney or go to Gulfstream? And he was like, I want to go to Gulfstream. So I came down from the stage, and I saw a kid running, never seen in my life. And of course, I hugged him, and he was like, I see you in my TV every day. And the mom was recording, and I said, please send that video to me. that thing went viral to horse racing and non-horse racing people. So I think if we engage those stories, like this kid, he was like, I don't want to go to Mickey, I want to see Claudia. And that was the best day of my life. I was like, you know what? You are gonna have the best birthday ever. So I went to the suites, I gave him a suite and with his parents, and I said, ask whatever you want. Like, this is gonna be the best birthday. And then I had to talk to my bosses, like, hey.
Just so you know, that
hey,
tab
just
is
to let
not
you know
for
what
me.
I did. But I'm sure that little kid is not gonna forget that day. And we are building one fan at a time, as I heard before, and that video and that story was amazing, was incredible, like millions of views. And I know that story went to more people that were non-racing than racing fans, and we have to like engage and focus on those stories that's why I work.
Me too. I want Claudia ears now. You guys go to Disneyland and get Mickey ears? I don't want no more damn Mickey ears. I want Claudia ears. They're gonna be sparkly. For sure. And what about you? You're gonna make me ask the question again,
No,
huh?
no, I'm
Where
good.
have you
I
seen?
remember.
What is the
I just
journey?
get so caught up in listening to what everybody says. Like what? I mean, obviously, it has changed. I mean, it's just completely not the same sport. I mean, like I spoke about when I started in accounting, we commingled with 18 locations, right? And now we've seen a decrease in attendance, but a massive increase in handle. We've seen social media, the good, the bad, the ugly, bring tremendous attention to the sport. We see, unfortunately, someone said clickbait earlier. You know, the media wants to focus on the negative. So we have a passion for it. We have an awareness of it. But unfortunately, the mainstream media, like with everything, they want the sensationalism. They want
the clicks.
They want the clicks. And unfortunately, those negative stories do tend to bring it. So, but I mean, when you walk into Santa Anita right now, you walk through a metal detector. So even just the basic foundations of a daily experience at Del Mar, you know, we hired a LASIK coordinator, as I look at and see Shirley. You know, there's just so many facets within this industry that are just completely not the same as when Amy and I started playing this game.
Do you feel like your role is a little different than some other track management because Del Mar is a boutique meet, and it doesn't seem like you guys struggle with attendance? I've waited in the lines. It takes a long time to get my champagne. Like, you know, you don't see that decline in people coming to the track. So do you feel like you deal with it a little differently than others?
Without a doubt. So Del Mar is extremely fortunate. We're a short boutique meet in the summertime in Del Mar. Right, so people want to be there. And you know, you go walk out on the property right now and you see a ton of young people dressed to the nines. They've kind of bought back into that whole kind of Hollywood feel, and it's the men and the women. So we have had some, and you know, our marketing team does an awesome job with a lot of lifestyle events, super similar to the things that Santa Anita does here, but it's the time of year, it's the location, and it's the length of Del Mar. We're super fortunate to be able to draw a lot more people still to come out.
Obviously, everyone here, most people here, women, and you see a lot of camaraderie, I think, between us and a lot of us in this room that know each other. How do you guys feel like we can try and continue in our workplace to see women as allies and open conversations and not hate on them? It's not like, oh gosh, Claudia's here, right? It's like, Claudia's here. Let's talk. And like I said, you were excited over Jess and what she's doing.
Yeah, as soon as I went
They were like
to the
signing
room
each other's
and
shirts.
I saw her, I was like, oh my God, what you're doing is amazing.
And so are you. And
But it's different.
No,
My job is easier. Your job,
it's just a different kind of hard.
You are.
For me, the most important thing is to always remember that a rising tide raises all ships. And when one of us succeeds, that is a win for
Exactly.
all of us. So clap for your friends and pay attention to who doesn't clap for you.
also,
But I think it's important to recognize and acknowledge that while the word is diversity, it shouldn't equal mediocrity. And I don't think that somebody should because in the interest of diversity, in the interest of inclusion, we'll hire a woman. Now, if the woman isn't up to the job that the man is, then the woman shouldn't have the job.
Yeah.
Because in part, it breaks all of us down. It breaks the entire train down. I mean, the woman shouldn't be fired because she's a woman, but she should be able to do, I don't care if you're, I work with men and women. I don't care if you're a man, a woman, or a billy goat. If you can do the job, I want to work with you. I like to surround myself with really smart people. If you can do the job, I don't care.
I think that this whole, even back to the same event last year, the word ally was the word that was thrown around. Reagan talked about relationships earlier this morning, which, by the way, I've decided who I want to be when I grow up. Reagan,
Same.
Wherever you are. Oh my gosh, she's
Same.
amazing. But I think that for me, again, I don't come from the horse side of it, I come from the people side of it. And it is about building those relationships, supporting your team, getting support, and even supporting those above you, talking to them, finding out what they need, knowing how to encourage them to go to their, not you, Claudia, but go to the wedding, because we know you didn't go.
I will
It was
go.
an uncle's third. This is what
Uncle's
you're-
third
I
wedding,
will
you're right,
go,
you're right.
but
Yeah.
to your first wedding, not to the third one.
But I think that it feels like that's the theme that we talk about all the time is finding yourself allies, men and women. But it's not just who can help me, but supporting those folks around you, supporting that team. And we too tend to get a little.
I think that I always said, don't watch me as your competition because I'm rooting for all of us to make it. It's not a competition, it's an alliance because together we go further. But one of my things, we were talking, horse racing is our life, it's not just our jobs. So I try to work and make those people also my friends. I have grateful. I'm so grateful because in my team, and I can say it here, the people that I work with are also friends that I want at my wedding, and I hope they come.
Don't invite Zoe.
But it's truly like that. So I'm working, and I love what I do, I'm telling you. I hope my boss is not listening to me. I think he is. But I would do exactly what I do without even a paycheck because I love it and I have so much fun and I do it with my friends. So try to not only create colleagues or allies, but really genuinely relationships, friendships that's gonna make easier the process.
I completely agree. We can't be an island in this. I mean, we do our best when we have our friends or allies around us. I think it's also important, kind of in casual conversation, to not lean into any of these stereotypes about women being catty or tearing each other down. So when you hear someone make a joke or spread a salacious rumor about someone, stop it there and be the person that kind of stands up for it rather than like politely laugh because you don't want to be that person. But I think there are moments like that where we have the opportunity to be quiet allies to women around us.
I think also if you are a little bit jealous or you can be excited for someone and still be jealous of them, right? Like
It should motivate you to want to up your game a little bit more.
Exactly.
Like, working with women that I have found inspirational and aspirational, like getting to work with Jill Byrne at Colonial Downs was an amazing opportunity for me because she was someone who I admired professionally, and then getting to work with her was the next level. Watching the way she cared about everything inspired me to want to kind of up my game even more.
And if you guys don't know Jill Byrne, she'll be, I'm sure, a recipient of our award at one point in time. She was a gala person, then she became an on-air talent. Her dad was a trainer, and now she is the only female, I think, that's a full-on running a racetrack on her own, and she runs Colonial.
She did. Now she's working with the Virginia Horsemen's Association, but she ran Colonial and did it with such heart and grace that made me excited to go to work every day.
That's how I feel now.
Too late. Ship has passed.
Ames, I want to know from you, what goes into managing a marathon meet? We talked about Anne having, the boutique meet. what makes it different? It's obviously more challenging from an operational standpoint to continuously go on and keep people interested. So what goes into running the big meet we call it here?
Endurance. It's a marathon. It is not a sprint, it's an absolute marathon. And like I said before, I'm really fortunate to work with great people that know what it takes and put it in. You know, it used to be that before Santa Anita started to run until June, it used to be everybody was really excited for opening day. You get them up opening day. Then it was, okay, well now we got to keep them excited. And then we got, this. And then we have Stroob Day, what used to be Stroob Day. Then it's like, okay, I got them at Stroob Day. Now if we can keep them until Big Cat, it's like keep them until that. And you just keep putting the leapfrog in front. I think the things that we've done, the first racing tour, which has made some really big days bigger, helps. But it's really you're not just motivating your audience, you're not just motivating the fans, you're motivating the horsemen and you're motivating your employees to keep going forward. Yeah. It's, even though you're dead ass exhausted, you still got to keep pushing forward because other people feed off of you. And that I think as a manager and I'm sure Andy had the same thing, they look at your energy and sense it. Just really quick story. A couple years ago, the lease ran out on my car. I had a really nice car. The lease was out. I was traveling. It was COVID. I didn't have time to get a new car. So I was renting a car from Hertz because I was here. I was working a couple of days, and then I was traveling. So for a month and a half, one day I'd have a Nissan, one day I'd have a Kia, one day I'd have a whatever. And then I got a lease on my car. It's a nice little BMW. I had 2 trainers stop me. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad. I love your new car. I'm like, really? You never said anything about my other car? It's like, Amy, you have no idea. You went from driving this really nice car to the Nissan, the Kia, the whatever. We thought we were going out of business.
Pay cuts.
To which I told Aiden, I said, apparently my car payments should be, part of my compensation package because people are judging it. But I never thought about that. Why would I? But other people do. So it's just that, how you carry yourself and how your demeanor is. Other people have the same challenges to pay the mortgage, to pay for their kids' school, that you're going through. And they're looking for you for some kind of reassurance that they're going to be okay. And somebody once said to me, it's like you're the single parent of a large dysfunctional family. And I often feel that way.
Our time is winding down, so I would love 2 things from you guys.
I want to keep going.
You can stay for the next panel if you want. My first thing is I want you guys to each give a crazy prediction for the next 5 years. Go ahead, Claudia.
About ourselves or about...
I'm gonna be the next way you want.
I already said it, and I'm manifesting a lot. Every single day I wake up and I said, I'm gonna be the J-Lo of Gulfstream Park. And now in 5 years, I'm gonna be the J-Lo of horse racing. I manifested it, and I said it so much, it became as a joke. Now, it's starting to become real. No, I don't look like
Don't be
J-Lo.
fooled by the rocks that she's got, you guys.
But I mean, I said like, not the way, I don't sing like her or dance like her, but she's so iconic. That's what I meant, like to be such a powerful force for horse racing and bring more and more women into our sport.
So I'm a big believer in put out in the universe what you want. After I called the quarter horses at Sam Houston for the last time a couple of years ago, I kind of put out into the universe that by the time I was 40, I wanted a track announcing gig. I was thinking it was going to be a little smaller scale, but sometimes the universe has a great sense of humor, and here we are. Next 5 years, I hope there's another full-time female announcer.
Yeah, I cannot compare to that. I truly have absolutely nothing for you. I mean, come on, right? Right? Yeah. Amy?
I'm going to say, because there's been so much talk and so much chatter, I'm going to say that Santa Anita and Del Mar will be here and will be stronger than ever.
Okay, my last question. If you were going to mentor someone, or if you are mentoring someone, what is the best piece of advice that you can give them?
I said it before, don't take no for an answer. Like, if I would have listened to all the people that say no, I would not be here talking to you guys. So don't take no for an answer. Believe in yourself. Like, you have to be your biggest fan. If you are not your biggest fan, who's gonna be? If you don't tell yourself every single morning in the mirror, you got this, you can do this, and you are the best at this job. If you don't tell yourself, no one is gonna believe it. So you have to believe it that first, and then people are gonna start to believe in it too. So believe in yourself and don't take no for an answer.
So I would say approach every opportunity with the attitude of why not me? When I saw the group of panelists on this panel, I was immediately intimidated. And then I had to
Same.
go, right. And then I had to go, why not me? And that was also the approach I've taken a lot of professional opportunities going forward. So believe you belong at the table.
So this is such a terrific question, and we're all going to say something that borders on the same theme. But now I am going to go home to the mirror every morning and tell myself I believe in myself. So I've just been mentored. I have just been mentored by Claudia.
Claudia's going to actually put this on her Instagram if you
Right.
guys want to download it.
But that is
so
my
just to be
affirmation,
clear.
and you guys should do it every morning. I do it.
But I will tell you, so I listened to this podcast, and it's called Out Alive. It's by Backpacker Magazine, and it's people who have been out in the outdoors and have survived but maybe shouldn't have for some reason or another. This is probably not a great podcast for someone who spends a lot of time by themselves outside, but for some reason I do listen to this. And there's this story about this guy who got lost somewhere, and he was truly lost for like 7 days with enough food and water for maybe a couple of hour hike. And he ended up not being found. He ended up stumbling, luckily, back on the trail. So really, there was no skill involved. But what he summarizes in the end of this podcast, and I actually thought of this, where's Stephanie? So last year, Stephanie asked me to come speak at the women's conference that they do at Del Mar, and I was fairly horrified by that idea. And I was listening to this podcast, and he says at the end that it's okay to be proud of the things that you have accomplished.
Yes.
And I'm like, that was such a thing for me because I do, but I don't tend to tell myself in the morning that I'm amazing, which I now will.
You are.
Thank you. I mean, I'm very good at telling other people how amazing they are. Yeah, because I mean, come on. Anyway, so
But the thing is,
it's
like,
okay to be proud.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, sometimes we tell the other people, like, you're so beautiful. Oh my God, what you're doing is amazing. Oh my God, and we don't tell it to ourselves.
Tell me
That's
again,
why-
Claudia.
What? You're so beautiful. I told you also in the green room, I told you, I didn't know you had 2 kids, and I cannot believe that you do everything that you do being a mom. I couldn't imagine.
That's very nice, thank you. AZ, your piece of advice?
You've heard this from me before. Don't fight with the pig. You're both going to get dirty, and the pig's going to like it.
Yeah.
I want to say before we did this panel too, this is not my normal gig because you're supposed to be very serious and I am not a very serious person. So I'm so glad that you guys were able to laugh during this. But I have to thank Reagan for it because she was like, you have to go and give yourself an affirmation. You have to say, I'm going to kick ass. And so before I was coming upstairs, I was like, I'm going to kick ass. And she said, tell people what you want. And I told people when I was walking up what I wanted, and everybody delivered this really fun and passionate seminar, so I'm really excited. And with Amy's grace, I want to read something.
Yay.
Okay. Have you guys seen Barbie?
Yes.
Okay, well then you've already heard this, but pretend you haven't. I have not seen Barbie, and Amy read this to us in our huddle up for this, and I just loved it so much, so I'm going to end by reading this. It is literally impossible to be a woman. You are so beautiful and so smart, and it kills me that you don't think you're good enough. We always have to be extraordinary, but somehow we're always doing it wrong. You have to be thin, but not too thin. And you can never say you want to be thin. You have to say you want to be healthy, but you can also be too thin. You have to have money, but you can't ask for money because that's crass. You have to be a boss, but you can't be mean. You have to lead, but you can't squash other people's ideas. You're supposed to love being a mother, but don't talk about your kids all the damn time. You have to be a career woman, but also be looking out for other people. You have to answer for men's bad behavior, which is insane, but if you point that out, you're accused of complaining. You're supposed to stay pretty for men, but not so pretty that you tempt them too much or that you threaten other women because you're supposed to be a part of the sisterhood. But always stand out and always be grateful, but never forget that the system is rigged. So find a way to acknowledge that, but always be grateful. You have to never get old, never be rude, never show off, never be selfish, never fall down, never fail, never show fear, and never get out of line. It's too hard. It's contradictory, and nobody gives you a medal or says thank you. And it turns out, in fact, that not only are you doing everything wrong, but it's also your fault. I'm tired of watching myself and every single other woman tie herself into knots so people will like us. And if all that is true for just a doll representing women, then I don't even know. I don't know who wrote that, but they did a great job. All right, our time is up, so I guess it's question time now, if there are any questions, since you guys didn't ask during my panel. I like it.
Risk of sounding like Damien from Mean Girls for a second. Claudia, can you lead us in an affirmation so we can all meet here? Because I need to get on this train.
Okay.
What do you
might
tell
laugh.
yourself every morning, Claudia?
You might laugh, but I swear to you, it's gonna change your life. You have to be your biggest fan, and I cannot I'm watching you right now. I cannot tell you an affirmation just to say it because you have to believe it. You have to watch yourself in the mirror and say, "Oh my God, I'm beautiful. I'm the best at my job. What a nice legs that I have." Things like that. But I cannot tell you that. You have to believe it yourself. And I swear. I know you're laughing, Michelle. I know.
I will not be talking about my legs in my morning affirmation.
But I mean, every single, you have no idea how the brain changed when you wake up in the morning and said, hey, you can start saying, if you don't want to go wild like me, you can say hey, I'm enough. And I love myself and I'm worthy. That's it. Just 3 things. Repeat it every single time. Look at yourself at the mirror and talk to you. Give your palm? Pat in the back. Yeah, pat in the back. Like you're doing a great job. And sometimes we fail. Some days are not always the greatest day of your life. We have bad days. And that's okay. It's just remember to forgive yourself every single time that you go home and say, you know what? I did the best thing that I could with the tools that I have. I didn't try to cross anybody. I did my best. And tomorrow's gonna be a better day. But I know you guys laugh and everything.
I like it. I laugh for the legs. The legs are funny.
If you have to be your biggest fan because you have to believe it yourself.
The other mental mindset for me was kind of shifted to coming from a place of gratitude, taking the approach of instead of I have to do this, it's I get to do this, and kind of going in with that mentality really changed. For me, I broke my back a couple of years ago, and the idea of not being able to do some things for a while was really dark. So then I kind of have approached everything since with I get to do this rather than I have to do this, and that's been a real shift that's been very helpful.
Great question. Actually, when you start, just give us an affirmation about yourself.
Yeah, please.
About the affirmations, this might be really random, but a really good song that you can use is Snoop Dogg actually has like a children's album. And it's called just the affirmation song. And whenever I'm sad, sometimes I'll listen to it, like when I'm driving to school. And it's a really basic affirmation song, but I think it's really good. So if you want to start that way, I think that's a great way to start. Awesome. Just the affirmations.
Nice.
It talks about how it like explains what affirmations are and how they're good for you, and then it tells you a couple, and then it's like kind of like grateful for your family and like happiness is good and just things like that. And so it's kind of just a general place to start, and then obviously working your way up to Claudia and like the whole like thing. So yeah.
I feel like Snoop could really do a number.
It's a
though.
really, really good song. Y'all should play it soon, not gonna lie.
That's our walkout music, please. The Snoop affirmation song.
I have one question. I want to know, where the hell were you all? You could have saved me for 30 years of paralyzing stage fright.
I love you. You're an inspiration. And I cried early on.
Not a single
You
one of us
really
would be up here without you.
Exactly.
Positive affirmation about yourself, please. I'm serious. You should start it.
You're beautiful.
I work on it in the mornings. So I so appreciate each of you telling sort of your own story, your narrative about how you got here. And I guess for me, I have a question that asks us to scale out a bit. And I'm really curious if in your work or in the industry, if there are sort of system-wide efforts underway to really identify and hone in on those entry points for people to come into the industry. Thinking of workforce development, how do we make it so that there's multiple women, generations of women that are able to have positions like yours, or innovating new partnerships and ways of collaborating to identify populations that might not, like you say, be familiar with the industry, but are there sort of system-wide efforts, initiatives to sort of scale up those opportunities and that enduring work?
I mean, Amplify Horse Racing
Exactly, I was gonna say that.
does tremendous work introducing young folks who maybe are not coming into it knowing a lot about the industry, and some are, to identifying paths forward for themselves in the industry and putting them together with mentors who can help guide them along the way. I'm very much enjoying my time as a mentor at the Amplify. Anita does just incredible work.
Anita is right here, and that's why my colleague and also one of my friends, and she's doing an amazing job, and she's gonna come in the next panel to explain about sponsors and mentors. It's really great, and that's a way she's doing an amazing job. And not only in one track, she travels and goes to, I have seen it, goes touring new people and put it in places where they can start in horse racing. So I don't want to take that's her panel, but she's doing an amazing job. So proud to call her a friend and a colleague.
You're beautiful. Anybody else? Okie dokie. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys as well for letting it be a little lighthearted.
Affirmations are positive statements that help us to challenge and overcome when you're not feeling good and have negative thoughts.
Ladies,
So
don't
repeat
move, don't
after
move.
me.
We're
Come
taking
on,
pictures.
everyone. There is no one better to be than myself.